Hey guys, I'm Naya and welcome back to the channel. As promised, today we're doing a part 2 of my tier list and we're gonna discuss staples. So no hand traps. For hand traps, you can check out the hand trap tier list, which is a couple videos back on the channel. And today we're gonna discuss going first and second power cards. So the staples of main decks and side decks all around. And let's just go ahead and get started. I took all of them from my previous staples videos, so for the March 2022 format. But I think I added a couple, like we have a lot of cards to cover, so let's just go. The first one is going to be Galaxy Cyclone. So I guess Galaxy Cyclone would immediately go into the not worth it category because a lot of these cards, it's not like they're bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like they are just not as impactful as you need certain cards to be, because things like back row removal, you don't want to run them in your main deck unless you really need to or unless you can afford to. And something like Galaxy Cyclone, or I guess Hey Trunade, or that's an example that's not on this list because it's Hey Trunade, although I could include it, but that's besides the point. Some of these cards are just not as impactful, and that's why I think it's not worth it. Although something to note would be that you can run it in a deck where you can send it to the grave if you have something like Foolish Burial Goods, or if you have a way to send a card like with Beatrice or stuff like that, because some decks I've seen that could run this if they might struggle with outing mine. So if you're running Droidtron and you just want to be safe, I guess you can run that, send it with Beatrice, and then it's all good. But I don't think it's worth it overall. The next one is going to be Gozen Match. I guess Gozen it's good. I'll put it in good, but I might put a couple cards above it because it's not really something that can be run in every single deck, but it's good against a lot of decks. So Gozen Match basically just shuts off the Brave Engine, shuts off Prank Hits, and these are the two main decks. So definitely a good card, but you cannot run it in every single deck. So that's something to also keep in mind. And together with Gozen, we can also discuss Rivalry. Basically, Rivalry, making it so you can only control one type, I would say is a bit worse, just because you have things like Phantom Knights, you have things like, what else would there be? YRM for Sword Soul, something like, I don't know, I guess Eldritch is turned off with the way it's being run with the Cyber stuff, but that's really a stretch. And then you turn off anything Prank Hit, obviously, so that's cool and it's an upside. You can run it in Dragon Link, which is also good because it's a competitive deck in which you can also afford to run a Floodgate. So I will put it in, I guess we can put it in good, but also at the bottom. I think that would be okay. I might change my mind as this video progresses, but right now I'm satisfied with that. Although I still am of the opinion that it's worse than Gozen. So there's that. And in tandem with that, we can also discuss There Can Be Only One. So There Can Be Only One basically hurts all of these decks that Rivalry sort of doesn't. And you have Dragon Link, you have a Sword Soul, you have, well, Brave is like, it has a lot of everything, so some Floodgates hurt the base entire deck. But also something to keep in mind with There Can Be is Prank Hits can run it. It's not like you're gonna be running it because you're tight on space, and I guess I wouldn't wanna win more cards when you can run something else that's more impactful, I guess. But I would still say it's good. So if you decide for any of these Floodgates, you can legit run anything that fits in your deck because you will be able to hinder some of the opponent's decks, if that makes sense. The next one we have over here is Droplet. Now, I'll put Droplet in staple, but it's like, it's not as necessary, I think, as it used to be, because sight locking is most of the time made so you can sight lock 2 times, like you just play around Droplet like it's nothing. So that's something to keep in mind. And overall, I think it's very much the case of which deck can also afford to run Droplet without you, when you're discarding things to the graveyard, without you minusing too much. So it's a cool card, but also you need to keep in mind how affordable it is and how many decks can also afford to run it. I would still put it in staple though, so you can decide for yourself. Then we have a couple, and it's actually totally by coincidence, they're all together and they're all going to the not worth it category. Appointer of the Red Lotus, like this card is cool and all, but it's such a hard going first card that I would just not consider it at all. And then you have kaijus. So kaijus are not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like I keep using this expression. Basically, kaijus are not bad, but the problem is when there's a format, when combo decks are so prevalent that you having one kaiju will just not deal with the board. And this is huge. So something like, I guess, Sphere Mode and Lava Golem that we will discuss later on, so I will not get really in depth right now, could be better options. And that's why I think kaijus are, I guess, not worth it, at the top of not worth it, if that makes sense. And then you also have different dimension ground, and it's also not worth it. It's I guess you could put some of these cards in the decent category, but here's an example. For example, something like D-Barrier. I will put it in decent because it is a decent card. You can run it effectively against swords, so you can run it effectively against any deck that focuses only on one specific thing. But then again, like, do you really want to? If you have some cards that stop a certain strategy by themselves, why would you just play hard going first cards and risk the chance of bricking on them without opening your engine? Because if you're losing in game 1, for example, and you want to go first game 2, you really want to open your engine, your combo, your whatever your deck does. So why would you risk it by having a lot of, I guess, going first cards that don't really do a lot by themselves without you also having an engine to back all of that up? Because if you only stop your opponent for one turn, it's just not going to be enough. But maybe that's just me, I don't know. So that's the main difference between some of these cards that I will be putting in the not worth it category. And we also have Alpha the Master of Beasts, and it's also not worth it basically for the same reasons as kaijus, because it doesn't do enough. And together with that, we can also discuss Lava Golem and also Sphere Mode. And I will put it in decent. Now, something to keep in mind would be that you cannot run these cards in every single deck. That's why you usually see them in trap decks, side decks, because they don't really rely on the normal summon. They don't really care about that. And some decks really do. So if you cannot afford to run it, obviously you're not going to even consider it. But looking at these cards just by themselves, they take care of almost the entire field, because most of the time your opponent is going to have 2 or 3 monsters if they're going first. And in a format like this, where it's really I guess high pace and just combo heavy and really saturated with these types of decks, then these cards are cool, but I will not put it above decent just because most of these decks cannot even afford to run them. So why discuss them, you know, in this entire, I guess, setting and situation? But they're still not bad. Now the next one is going to be Crossout Designator. I will put it in I'm deciding between good and staple. I think I'll put it in good. And I'll put it at the top of good, because I might not include a lot of cards in staple. I don't think I will. With Crossout, I don't want to spend too much time overall in this entire video. I don't want it to be too long. But I want to make a point right here. Crossout Designator is an awesome card, but you really need to decide how you're going to use it and if it's going to help you and give you the advantage that you need, because I've seen this pattern of people running Crossout Designator in side decks, and I think it's so smart because you just play these cards that would otherwise hurt you and these outs to your own deck together with Crossout to side it in going first and make sure you win. So this is one thing. And then the other one would be how many mirror matches there actually are right now, because everything is brave. So Crossout maybe at the beginning of the format was kind of like meh and iffy, but right now with everything brave is just rising in popularity, and I think this is really cool. And I might even put it like at the bottom of staple at some point. Then we have Forbidden Chalice. I'll just put it in decent. It's definitely not bad, but it is very restricting in the sense of being a quick play spell, so you only being able to activate it during your turn, or if you set it from before. But if you're going second, right now, when you are going second, you want to bank on having at least 1 or 2 hand traps. That's why you need to run a lot, or you need to have something that's very, very, very impactful, such as Droplet. This is a really good example of a card that's incredibly impactful if you are going second, and a Forbidden Chalice is not gonna do the job. So I think it's declining in popularity because you have Droplet, Impermanence, Veiler, and even Mourner, and all of them do pretty much the same thing, but they're all better in this current format that we are in right now. Then we have Dinko Seka. It's like, I wanted to include it, but it's not worth it. There are legit almost no trap decks right now, even active. So yeah, Dinko is not really something we need to be dealing with right now. Then we have Mystic Mine. I was thinking of this before. Mine is like, it's not bad. Like, the effect is obviously awesome, but it's like, prank kids don't really care about it. Sword Soul can play Blackout. And if you, Sword Soul plays Blackout, but looking at other decks, anything based, something like that, basically you just trade with a negate. So at that point, you need to decide if this is something that's worth it, because you're trading with, I guess, Baron, or you're trading with Wandering Griffin Rider. And I wouldn't say it has that much of an impact. So I will put it in, I'll put it in decent. Let's put it at the top of decent and just keep it there. Then we have Ice Dragon's Prison. So you can effectively use it against pranks. You can use it against Sword Soul, against Based. You can use it in tandem with, I guess if you're playing Zombie Outlich, that would be really good. And if you're playing a trap deck. So the card is not bad. I'll put it in decent again, because it's not really something you're gonna be seeing, have actual play, because people will just not steer towards that, since almost everybody is on a combo deck. So that's something to keep in mind. The next trap card, we have a lot of traps over here. The next trap card is going to be Evenly Matched. And I think Evenly is also good, or is it just decent? I don't know. It's like let me give this like a thought, actually. You can trade with a negate, you break a Prank Kids board, I guess you break any board. I'll put it in good. And that's the reason. You break any board, but you need to make sure you bait out the negate first, which is easier said than done. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Basically, the card is great, but you need to be able to use it correctly. And also, it's really much dependent on your own tournament setting, because I was considering siding Evenly just because sometimes we have a lot of trap decks just everywhere at our regionals and locals. So yeah, it's not a bad choice, but you need to decide for your personal meta. The next one is going to be Anti-Spell. And Anti-Spell is... I guess it's also good, but I don't really know where to place it. So if you're going up against Prank Kids, that's nice, because you turn off the Brave Engine. If you're going up against anything based, you're turning off the Brave Engine, and you're also turning off a couple Sword Soul spells. I guess you have a couple of decks that don't run a lot of spells, so I'll put it at the bottom of good, maybe above Evenly Matched. We can do it like that. Like, it's not bad, but not really worth running it, I think. So yeah, okay. Twin Twister is going in the staple category because it's a really, really good card. Like, it's always been a great card. I don't think it's ever really fallen out of favor. And yeah, you get rid of Pandemonium, you pop anything that your opponent has and is bothering you, because one discard is not that bad. Sometimes you want to have cards in the graveyard. In certain types of decks, you pop 2 cards, and there is legit almost no downsides to this card whatsoever. So Twin Twister, I would say, is a staple. Same with Harpy's Feather Duster. It's like, it's free. That's why I would put it in staple, because it's a one-off that really does a lot. So I think it's worth running if you have the space. Then we have Dark Ruler. I will also put in staple, and in tandem with Droplet, I guess I'll just put it above Harpies. In tandem with Droplet, it just takes care of boards, and this is huge, and I see a trend of people citing maybe 2 of it, because you have a lot of hand traps, so in theory you are breaking the board, but maybe if you're not, you still have the Dark Rulers, and then you still have space to fit something else in the side deck. So yeah, I think this is a good call to have in your side deck. Maybe not main though, but you know, side is so cool. I'll put Called By actually at the top of Staple. This card is just incredible. It's so impactful. It protects you. It deals with any kind of threat that your opponent might have. If you're going second against a Prank Kid, you just Called By the Bow Wow. And if worst comes to worst, you are trading with a negate, so it's not that bad. You can get rid of DPE, which is huge. You can get rid of anything in the base strategy. You get rid of a Prank Kit that they're using, or the one you want to negate, something like Bow Wow. You get rid of, I guess, a Golden Lord, which is always nice. That's really a stretch at this point. You get rid of seals. You effectively deal with seals if someone is on Dragon Link. So Called By, I would say, is definitely a staple. Now the next one is going to be Solemn Judgment. I think I'll put Judgment in, I guess, at the top of decent, because it's not a bad card if you decide to side it, but me personally, I'm not really into those hard going first cards, so top of decent, maybe bottom of good would be the best place for it. Together with that, we also need to discuss Strike, and I will actually put Strike in the not worth it category because it's maybe down here below the Kaiju. Yeah, I think that's good, and I guess we can place the Kaiju above Dinko. But now we're getting into little details that are not really that important. So Strike is not worth it just because Judgment does a lot more. And if we're even iffy on siding Judgment, why would we also side Strike at that point? So in a trap deck, by all means, use it. Other than that, I don't think it's worth it. Also, Torrential. Same with that. We're not really a format of a lot of trap decks right now, so that's pretty much a no-brainer. You just don't really want to use these cards. Now we have Cosmic Cyclone. I'll put it, I guess, above Dark Ruler, below Twin Twister, because it does only banish one card, but it does banish it. So having said that, when you take care of Scythe, it's like, it's a feels good moment when you just get rid of it and that's it. Also Standby Phase on Pandemonium, or if you want to disrupt the Faithful, if you want to, I guess, get rid of Blackout, or what's called the Fog Blade, or just anything. Pretty much it can be the Prank Kid's Field Spell for all I care. But like, it's a really good card, and yeah, if you run into a trap deck, it's also effective against that. So all around, a great choice. The next one is going to be Lightning Storm, and I'll actually put it in the good category. I'm sure of that, but I think I might actually put it maybe below Crossout, and then we can put a couple more cards in here. I think that would be good, because Lightning Storm, being the amazingly just strong card that it always has been, it's sort of at this point kind of iffy. And what I mean by that is, yeah, you can pop back row, which is dope, but not a lot of people are on it. And the people that you wanna blow up their entire back row, they have the what's it called? The Heavenly Prison monster that basically protects the back row. So at that point, you're not doing anything. And if you wanna break a board of monsters, you might just trade with a negate or not be able to do anything because people like to put their monsters in defense. So it's like, yeah, it's not even, I don't know. It's almost not worth it, honestly. It's still a cool card and you can run it. But yeah, maybe wouldn't be the first choice if you're thinking of back row removal, but still not bad. So the good category, I think, should be fine. Pancratops, I would say it's good. We can put it like at the bottom of good, because if you have one more slot, why not put Pancratops in? You're not gonna do anything, I guess, bad by putting that in. You can put it in against decks going second if you have some cards to take out, or if you want more ways to deal with them, and it's all good. But it's like, in this format right now, you want to rely on hand traps, not necessarily the going second power cards, so that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, I mean, Pancratops is it's a cool card, it's whatever. Red Reboot is I mean, I would put it at the top of good, only because we're not in such a trap heavy format right now. But it's an awesome card all around. And then we have Raigeki, which is like, it's decent, you know, if you wanna have it and just, I guess, cheese in a couple wins with that. I think that's a good call. But I wouldn't personally consider siding it, just because I think there are a lot of cool cards you can put in instead of that. But to each their own. Then we have a Shared Ride, which is, I would say it's decent. Maybe down here, below Mystic Mine. I think that's cool. It's also one of these cards that's a win more type of thing, because if you are going first in a combo heavy format we are in right now, you're more than likely playing a deck that just wins going first by itself, so you don't really want to use something that draws into hand traps when you, I guess, do enough with your board, because if you break on this particular card, instead of drawing like an extender or a starter for your turn, then you really didn't do anything. And if you draw into that during your opponent's turn, it's not gonna help you. So it's not a bad card with the amount of searching that's going on right now in every single deck, like specifically. But yeah, I guess you just need to decide. Then we have Skill Drain. It's not worth it. Like, it's not a bad card at all, but no one's running it, so it's like Prankers can play around it and other cards are just way better. Then we have Summon Limit, which is, I guess it's decent, but you really can play around Summon Limit if your opponent doesn't get rid of your monsters or straight up just annihilates you with card advantage and everything they do, which more than likely is not going to happen. Like, if you have a Floodgate that's continuously preventing you from playing, which is there can be only one rivalry and goes, and that's cool. But with Summon Limit, you can pop it with Phoenix, you can play around it, you know, or I guess into it and just with it and just summon a lot of monsters through every single turn if your opponent is not getting rid of them, and then you don't really care about Summon Limit at that point. So I wouldn't say it's as good as the other Floodgates. That's why it's only in the decent category. Then we have Sanctum, and I will put Sanctum actually in good, above Lightning Storm, because Scythe is everywhere, and also Lancia, I know it has fallen out of favor just a tiny bit, but if you're maining maybe one copy and something like Sky Striker, something like a Drytron, you have a chance of just siding Sanctum and just using it to its maximum potential, because it's a really good card, but not every single deck has the space to do that. However, if your deck is entirely reliant, like something like Sky Striker, reliant on DPE, I guess Dagda and Scythe, all of that, these other extra broken engines, then you can side something like this and really capitalize on it. Then we have a Super Polymerization, and I was thinking about Super Poly a lot, in the days leading up to our regionals, because I was talking to my husband about actually siding this, but then we decided not to because we didn't feel like it was as impactful, and I will put it at the top of decent, but I don't think it's worth it at this very second. Like, in this current format, I don't think it's there yet. Like, you can use it against DP and Anaconda or any kind of like combination of things that could go into the Starving Venom or the Dragostapelia or even the Mud Dragon. Like, you can combat decks, but I don't think it's such a great payoff when you have other ways to, I guess, disrupt your opponent. And then the last one is going to be Triple Tactics Talent. Like, I think it's maybe like above Floodgates, but below Lightning Storm. Pretty much looking at this entire tier list, everything that's stable is really good and like busted. Everything that's good, the first, I guess, 3 cards are really nice. Then it's Lightning Storm, which is like kind of and then Talents is really situational if you can afford to run it, if it's really the type of, I guess, card you're going for. Like, if you're playing Brave anyway, I don't think it's worth playing both. Maybe if you have a bigger deck, like 60 card, I guess can maybe afford to run that, but that's really a personal preference. And then this entire portion over here is just Floodgates, and I guess, Pancratops is nice, and Antispell and Evenly are just very situational. And then everything down here is like, you can see some people citing maybe like one card copy of two copies or two copies of these cards. But only seeing this in someone's side deck, like, this doesn't make it so, this doesn't mean that they're actually doing a lot with these cards. Maybe they just decided to side it, never really used it, or it came in clutch. Like, we cannot know. And I guess in general, I think this tier list makes sense. And I really want to know what you think about it. So let me know down in the comments. Just, say anything. I guess bash me or compliment my tier list, do whatever. But yeah, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. And if you liked the video, obviously make sure to give me a like, sub, check out all of the social media, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.